Saturday evening's train from Doncaster to London King's Cross should have been an ordinary journey. Instead, it became a scene of horror. Just after leaving Peterborough, around 7:40, panic broke out on board the LNER Azuma service as passengers shouted that there was a man attacking people with a knife. Within minutes, a train carriage turned into a crime scene of chaos and terror. 10 passengers were stabbed, 9 were initially said to be in a life-threatening condition. The train made an unscheduled stop in Huntingdon in Cambridgeshire, where armed police boarded, tasered one man, restrained another, arrested both. The response was extraordinarily swift, 8 minutes from the first 999 calls to the arrests, and yet the speed of police action couldn't disguise the brutality of what had happened. Witnesses spoke of blood everywhere, of people hiding in loos, others trampling over seats in a blind panic. One man reportedly staggered through the carriage, warning others that he'd just been stabbed. For many, it must have felt like a nightmare without end, the perfect setting of ordinary life shattered by senseless violence. By dawn, Huntingdon station was locked down, forensic teams in white overalls combing the carriages while blankets were wrapped around the wounded. National Rail suspended all services along the East Coast main line, and Britain woke to headlines too grimly familiar. Another mass stabbing, another outbreak of inexplicable violence, another wound in the nation's conscience. The police were quick to clarify 2 points. First, this was not being treated as a terrorist incident, and second, the 2 suspects, a 32-year-old black British man and a 35-year-old British man of Caribbean descent, were both UK nationals. That announcement was no accident. After the Southport murders last year, where false social media claims that the suspect was an immigrant provoked nationwide riots, the police have learnt to move faster than rumour, and even so, the race to assign meaning has begun. Keir Starmer called it an appalling incident and deeply concerning. The Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, praised the extraordinary bravery of passengers and staff who risked their lives to restrain the attackers. The King and Queen issued a statement expressing that they were appalled and shocked. The message from government and Crown alike was measured. This was terrible but isolated, tragic but not a sign of national collapse. And yet, beneath that composure runs an anxiety impossible to ignore. Knife crime in England and Wales has risen steadily since 2011. Over 60,000 blades have now been seized or surrendered, and even as the government boasts of an 18% fall in knife murders this year, there remains a sense of helplessness that weapons may change, but the violence persists. Britain has avoided America's epidemic of gun violence, but the knife has become our national plague. The Huntingdon attack is not only a human tragedy, it's also a test of trust. Trust in police to act quickly, trust in governments to respond rationally, and trust in the public to resist the temptation of conspiracy and hate. The fact that Operation Plato, the emergency protocol for a potential terrorist attack, was triggered and later rescinded shows how close the system now lives to the edge. Better to overreact than to risk another Manchester, another London Bridge. We do not yet know the motive. We do not yet know the connection, if any, between the suspects and their victims. We do not know why this happened, only that it did, on an ordinary train, full of ordinary people. But what we can say is that the emergency response worked, the passengers showed courage, and that Britain once again faces the question of how to feel safe in public space. It's easy to lapse into fatalism, to see this as an inevitable consequence of a fraying society, but moments like this test not only our security systems, but our social instincts. Do we panic, blame, divide? Or do we wait, help and heal? Huntingdon will recover, the line will reopen, the trains will run again. But for those on that carriage, the world will not look quite the same. And for the rest of us, it's another reminder that even in the routine rhythms of modern life, violence can erupt without warning, and courage, compassion and restraint remain our only real defence.